Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Football University, FFU. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. I am Mr. Bill DeCousis. I'm here with Mr. Tom Lang, coming to you yet again in the offseason. How you doing, Mr. Lang?
Oh, good. We're coming to you hot. Coming to you hot live.
Hot and
Not
live,
really
or
live, but
not
recording
really
live.
hot and live, hot and recorded. Coming to you yet again in the offseason. We are covering wide receiver tiers, the first half of which we are covering today. We'll get to that a little bit later. Let's as always, we'll talk about some of the latest news, and we've got some interesting latest news from this past week.
Yeah.
Let's start right at the top. Let's start with negative stuff, and then we'll get to positive. So we're not going to spend too long commenting on the thing itself. We'll just talk about fantasy implications. So Quinshawn Judkins was rookie running back for the Cleveland Browns, was arrested for domestic battery, et cetera, et cetera. Don't know what the penalty is going to be. Don't know what he's going to plead. Don't know anything as we're sitting right now. But I do know that 100% affects his draft stock. I'm feeling better about late round Jerome Ford as an option. Not feeling good about
Yeah.
Judkins as a shot. I mean, depending on what happens, he could miss 4 games this year. He could not. He could. I'm not really sure. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah. So there's been talk. I mean, obviously there's going to be, a trial hearing, stuff like that, or, whatever they're going to do in the court system. But the NFL is going to protect itself as well too, and they take these things serious with what's going on. So depending on what list they put him on, he might be put on the commissioner's list, which actually could be a 6 week, a
That's right.
6 game suspension. So yeah, I mean, I don't. Uh, I don't condone you guys drafting this early in the game, but if you did and you got Jerome Ford in the 15th round, congratulations, you got a starting running back probably for the first 6 weeks. But with the draft capital, the draft stock for Judkins, we know what he is. I mean, we know what Henderson, we know what Judkins are, based on their run with Ohio State and being such a great tag team and on a great offense. But I think this is obviously you also know what Jerome Ford is for based on his value. He's going to be a running back too week in week
Well,
out if he's there by himself. If not, obviously with some of the back guys, backfield back there. But he's obviously proven himself through the years when Chubb has gone down. But when Judd can come back, it could be a split, scenario based on where they are in, the league. We don't anticipate
when who comes back?
Judkins.
Or when Judkins comes back? You kept
Yeah,
saying.
when Judkins comes back,
I thought you said Chubb. Okay.
no, Chubb's on the Texans. I
I
know
know. I
that.
know.
Chubby Chubb. But yeah, so basically, when Judkins comes back. Obviously, I think that it could be based on like maybe split carries for the rest of the season. I don't think that anybody's going to really take over. So I think it's a great value, Jim Rome Ford. And
Yes.
obviously steer clear. If Judkins falls to you in the 10th, 11th round, it could be something that you could really capitalize on.
We touched on this last week. We purposely like the way that we did the tiers, we kind of left the 8 or 9 teams that had this sort of amorphous running back situation. We kind of left them as it is. But part of the logic there, even last week before we knew any of this, I was feeling like people are getting too optimistic, too foregone conclusion-y about a lot of these rookie backs. Like, oh my God, get them now. They're going to be great. To say, no, they're not. Like it's too much of conventional thinking to think like the other guy that's there is not going to get eliminated. Jerome Ford was a very, very good, serviceable back on a bad team for a lot of games last year. He's not just going to get erased out of the team. I agree. Judkins would have been the more explosive guy. He's the guy they drafted fairly highly. Probably at some point throughout the season was going to take over, but you know, that narrative should play out for lots of the other rookies. So now,
Yeah.
just because of this, situation with the domestic abuse, the domestic, whatever it is, the domestic situation, um, yeah, I got it. Now everybody's off the train, but your logic should be as cautious as we were last week for a lot of these other rookies, like you mentioned, Henderson, even Omario Hampton. Najee Harris is there, but we'll get to that more as we revise like the way that we think about tiers and rankings. Um, So let's get on to some more positive stuff.
Yeah. Well,
So,
actually, I mean, there are some negative stuff still.
oh, go for it.
I
Yeah,
mean, there's still a
stay on
lot of
negative,
contract negotiations going on right now. Terry
right?
McLaurin's stock is dropping when it comes down to his ADP. I mean, he came out on social media and had a couple like media shows and stuff like that where he's not happy. And it's not just, a Fugazi and it's not just, whatever anymore. He actually said it himself. So he's not happy. And honestly, and I'm not thinking that this is the best scenario for him or even the team. But I mean, if he's going to be that kind of guy, that I mean, he deserves to get paid, but he doesn't deserve to get paid like Jamar Chase, Jamar Jefferson money. And I mean, Washington's not going to pay him nearly close to anything like that. So, I mean, the more he stands out and does those things and just really doesn't like come to the table and really just settle, I just think that there's a possibility that he gets traded. The more there's more of a possibility he gets traded, and there is more talk about TJ Watt looking for an extension. And I mean, it would be insane to see a blockbuster trade like this, but I could see that happening. That trade right there. I mean, with Rodgers, Metcalf, and Jonnu Smith and Scary Terry going over there. I mean, and then obviously the defense for the Commanders adding TJ Watt could be pretty intense. So there's that talk right there. I mean, what do you think could happen with that? I mean, there's two other guys that I would like to talk about with you know, extensions and stuff like that and
Sure.
potential holdouts. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring it up. We'll be talking about McLaurin today. So I wanted to mention this to you. Normally speaking, we don't ever like unless it's Joe Burrow or something. We don't never normally take the player side when it comes to these things. But I just want to point out, um, how many receiving yards he played all 17 games. How many receiving yards did McLaurin have last year?
I'll have to look that up.
Off the top of your head, just if you had to ballpark it.
1400?
He didn't make 1100. He had 1096.
Really?
1096 in 17 games. How old is Terry McLaurin?
31?
He'll be turning 30 uh, at the start of the season.
Hey, I'm off a little bit today.
Right. I bring this up to mention that I understand that he wants whatever contract extension, whatever big contract that he wants, but he's not going to get like he's just not going to happen. I mean, we very, very rarely do we see receivers of this age putting up this level of dominance slash what he's looking for what he's going to mean for Washington. So I agree with you. If it's this much of a standoff, he's not going to be there. I don't know if he's going to get traded. They just might make him, he might do some sort of a free agency thing where they, give the rights in some way. So I agree. The future there does not look good, and that leaves good luck for us trying to figure out value at the wide receiver situation in Washington. Back to Zacchaeus. I mean, we'll get to that
I don't know.
if we come up with that. Don't know about him being traded with Watt, but yeah, the vibes are not good with McLaurin. We'll get to more of that today. Who are
Yeah,
the other guys you wanted to
these other
mention?
two, which one I think is a little bit more serious than the other. The one that I'll talk about, the serious one, is Jawan Jennings is seeking a new contract extension with the 49ers, and
Yes.
it's not the same situation. I mean,
No.
Jawan Jennings stepped up a lot last year, helped out that team, but they didn't win anything. They didn't do anything. So I mean, I would say like if they did technically, make the playoffs, you have now ground to stand on it, right? You were the only wide receiver on the field outside of Kittle being out there, pretty much. Debo was and so like he was pretty much the only guy out there. And I get like standing up and taking the role and stuff like that. But again, um, you know, Jawan Jennings is not an A or B receiver,
I
right?
don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm not going to
No.
say. But I will say he's
I mean,
a.
does he deserve to get paid big bucks just because he
I don't.
wants he wants an
I,
extension.
I don't know what big bucks are, but I do know that he's cashing in at the height of what he would be worth. He had a great year last year, and in this year, where the 49ers have Super Bowl and high hopes, they are needing of good wide receiver play because of the Brandon Ayuk situation, Debo leaving, Pearsall's first year that he's not shot coming back. Kittle's another year older. Like they need Jennings. This is, I mean, it's funny. We have our little stupid bet, but a lot of it is based on the fact that I think Jennings is going to be good because they need him to be good. So if I'm Jennings, yeah, I get it. Now, God knows if, Shanahan and the team is going to, capitulate to whatever it is he's asking for.
Yeah.
But if I'm him, I get why he's doing it.
Yeah, the other one is Kyron Williams. I think they're going to make a deal.
I agree with that. Yep.
The Rams usually make deals in camp. They don't really negotiate before or in the season. They're more of like in camp situation.
I
When the
never
guy
understood that.
shows up and stuff like that. And but I think that Kyron Williams, he'll get what he's worth. And I think he's worth significant. He's a significant piece of the pie over there on that offense. A guy that pretty much can be an anytime touchdown every single week for an offense like that. It's so highly valuable. Um, and he's done it for 3 years. So he's been fairly successful and consistent. So I think he should get paid. That's pretty much outside of that. I mean, there's been some obviously contract extensions on your New York Jets, um, which I think making Wilson pretty much the fourth highest wide receiver in the league is pretty insane and pretty intense right there. But
I
I don't know.
I I I don't think it's insane. I mean, they're getting out ahead of stuff. The Eagles do this kind of stuff all the time. But Garrett, I mean, nobody's going to deny his talent. He's super, super talented, unbelievable route runner. I mean, it's just if they wanted to have a superstar player on their team, they got to do stuff like this. And we should, by the way, we should lump in Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner in the same thing. So they
Yeah.
locked up one of, if not the best corners in the league, and they locked up one of, if not not the best, but one of the best wide receivers in the league. So now, as long as if they could get better people to throw to him, but we'll see how Fields does. I'm feeling better about it, and I'm feeling better about the situation, which we'll talk about today, actually. So we'll get to that. Any other positives? Because you took the words right out of my mouth with the Garrett and Sauce thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty much it. I mean, there's some miscellaneous stuff, but nothing too much to
Nothing,
take up our beautiful subscribers' times. Click the
nothing
bell,
earth-breaking.
listen to, click the bell and subscribe.
Nothing earth-breaking. All right, let's get into wide receiver tiers. All right, so like we did last time, and like we did with the quarterbacks, Tommy and I are going to build out our tiers together, of which we will revise as the year goes on. We thought this would be really interesting for people to listen to our logic, how we build this. Wide receivers, though, there's a lot of them, so we're only going to go halfway through. I have 20-ish names. Tommy's got 20-ish names. We'll probably get right about there. We'll know where the line is. And the last little clarification, we're doing this on half PPR, but we'll make extra notes for people where, like, if full PPR makes a difference, if zero no PPR makes a difference. All right, so I am going to bring up our little sheet here. Tommy, if you want to add in anything I missed while I pull this up.
Yeah, so Billy's just going to agree with everything I'm going to give him, and he's going to put my names down instead of creating his own tiers for players that he thinks that's by himself.
Oh, Tommy makes a good funny. Yeah. So let's make this a little bit nicer for people. Okay. So I have a feeling we'll agree. Well, I have a feeling we'll agree for first couple parts of it, but then we'll get into some disagreements. So I think we have somebody in tier one all on his own. Is that a good assumption?
Well, no, there are three guys in the tier. You wouldn't
Uh,
be, there are three guys: Chase, Jefferson, and Lamb.
I
Um,
have Jefferson and Lamb clearly below, but I'll capitulate for this.
that's
Yeah.
fine. But
We
I
have the
believe,
same
I
top three.
believe, I believe, if you were to, based on tiers, and then if you're looking at drafting order, who you would take ahead of somebody, I go Chase, Lamb, Jefferson. They're all in the same tier. They're all going to get the same amount of volume, and they're going to all get the same consistent play. The only one I'm a little weary about is Jefferson, but his talent, he's a tier one talent. There's
He's
no
quarterback agnostic. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, and like the reason why I would go Chase, Lamb, Jefferson is because of consistency between quarterbacks and wide receiver. And I feel a little bit more confident in Lamb overproducing his numbers this year compared to last year.
I agree with you. My personal opinion is I'm literally like I have no preference Jefferson over Lamb. So since you have the preference, I'll knock him over, whatever. But you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong at all. I think Chase to me is clear 101 because of everything we've been laughing about with the Bengals this offseason. Uh, I mean, need we remind everybody that the Bengals have absolutely no defense. Three players on the Bengals have the entire salary cap. Burrow is going to prove the point by saying that him and Chase have to carry the team because they don't have any help because they have all the money, and he's just going to throw it to Chase 50 yards down the
Oh,
field every
stop
play.
it.
So we'll leave it there. But
Well, they
it's
also paid Higgins, so they got to pay him. They got to play him too.
And then, by the way, with all the mock drafts we've done, just to prove to everybody that point. So, normally speaking, without question, in a single flex, half PPR, there's no question I'm taking running back first overall, second, even third. If it's a full, if it's a double, even half or full, if it's a double flex, I'm taking Chase number one overall. But whatever you think. All right, so let's get on to the next guy. So I've got two guys in the next tier. I've got Puka and Amon Ra. So do you have anybody else with them?
Yes, I got three. Unfortunately, I got Puka. I have to go with my brain, not my heart in this one. So
Right.
Puka, Amon Ra, and I got Malik Neighbors.
You have Malik Neighbors in this. Now, I just want to hold, before we get to Malik, I have to hold you to this because throughout this whole offseason, you've been pro Devontae Adams, anti Puka, enough so that you said you think that Devontae Adams finishes. Now, are you revising that to think with your brain and not your heart, as you said?
No, I mean, in a sense, yes, but not to the extent where I'm going to be idiotic. Um, Puka clearly has the talent and he has the trust with Matthew Stafford there. I do believe that Devontae Adams is going to take receptions away from him. And the reason is because it's Devontae Adams. He's gonna get, I mean, and Puka's not really a heavy end zone guy, right? So
Right.
that's where the running game happens. That's why Matthew Stafford is not so um, fantasy football relevant. But I think this year that changes slightly. I think this year the end zone targets pretty much go to Devontae Adams, and he takes away a lot, if not maybe about 15 to 20% of the targets that Puka got last year.
Don't you
So
think, don't you, well, to me, I see the room for upside, therefore,
and
with
so
Puka, right?
and again going back to it, so there is room for upside because of who you got on the opposite side, but he's also, in the, end around game. He's going to still get those, little screen plays. He's that guy, and Devontae Adams is not that little screen and out guy. He's not. He's more of a route runner. Puka is more of a gadget kind of play. So he's going to get these little in and out plays. That's going to keep his value as fantasy football relevance high. Um, and that's another reason why I put Malik Neighbors in this element because Amon Ra is kind of the same player as Malik Neighbors and a little bit of Puka Nacua. They're going to get heavy targets, those two guys, whereas Puka is going to get a little bit less targets, but he's going to get some rushing and he's gonna get some groundwork. So,
My worry with Malik Neighbors, because I have him just below, is he's doing this on the back. It's gonna we don't know how good the Giants are gonna be. Probably not that well, and they
I
weren't
don't
they weren't
know. I don't
they
know.
weren't
I'm getting hype. I'm getting hyped.
for no reason. And like last year too, we're getting Malik on the back of 10 trillion targets, and that's basically it. Um, I would point out like I'd feel so much better about Malik in a full PPR than I would. I just it's just not as efficient, and I'm sure Russ is going to pepper him with targets, or whoever's throwing the ball is going to pepper him with targets. I don't feel as good about it. Puka and Amon Ra are both on better teams, and every point that you made about Amon Ra and Puka should be well taken. I just like I see him as so different, and the other guys that I have in in the tier after, I see as like I'd be just as happy with them, but we can adjust. So in your next in my next tier, I had Malik Neighbors, and I had Brian Thomas and Ladidi Metcalfe. So the first one really deviating from ADP. What do you
Well, I
have?
got five in my tier three.
Okay, what is your tier three then?
And let me just, so do you agree though a little bit with how this flows right now with tier two, Puka, Amon-Ra, and Malik, based on the talent, the volume that they're going to receive, they're going to get equal.
I don't see Malik in the same thing with Puka and Amon-Ra. I don't.
Well, he's going to
I
get 165 targets this year. He's probably going to
106
get 140 balls.
165 targets that he ends up with 95 catches because of or whatever. If he
I don't know,
catches
man. I really don't
140
know.
targets, 140 catches for 980 yards and three touchdowns. I mean, depending on how the Giants are doing, you know.
You're talking all this big game about my Giants, but you gotta look yourself in the mirror with your Jets.
Right, I haven't brought up
We're
Garrett.
not gonna.
We'll get to Garrett Wilson. We're not there yet. Let's leave Malik there now. We could always adjust it. All right, so who do you have? You said you have five names. Do you have are Brian Thomas
Yeah.
and Ladidi in two of those names,
All right.
or
So
they're not?
Brian Thomas is not. Um,
Really? All right, so our first set of disagreements. Let's put
yeah. So Brian Thomas is not. The five I have in this target right here is Nico. So Nico Collins, Drake London,
Ugh, we're gonna have
AJ
some
Brown,
disagreements.
Ladidi McConkey, and Tyreek Hill.
We're gonna have so many disagreements here. All right. Well, we agree on Lad, so let's get him in there. Let's not even question it. All right. So you have Tyreek, and let me let me try to convince you don't have Brian Thomas because I have a bunch of
No,
the, you don't.
I've already expressed my
Right. Do you have
reasoning
the Travis
behind.
Hunter thing? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
I've
it's
heard this.
going to dig into Brian Thomas. Yes. All right.
Ugh.
Brian Thomas had a fantastic rookie season. Fantastic. Unbelievable. LSU wide receiver university, right? I really think that Travis Hunter coming in there they're going to have specific plays directed to his talent. Obviously, Brian Thomas is a great talent and he proven himself, but with this new regime that's in there, I think it's Hunter is really the 1A. And that's where they're going to put their primary focus. And then 1B is Brian Thomas. Now, it could benefit Brian Thomas, right? But there is a heavy opportunity that they kind of like go in a different direction. A lot of the stuff though too is with Lawrence. Lawrence didn't have the chemistry with Brian Thomas. It was the backup quarterback play. A lot of it happened from, playing from behind, scoring touchdowns here and there.
Yeah.
So I understand the value where people are really high on Brian Thomas, but the problem is with how they drafted and how their offense is now formulated. Brian Thomas drops down to tier four for me. He's still a wide receiver one,
Sure.
but he's not. But there are five guys I would take over him in tier three.
I agree with your arguments about Thomas. I agree with the second half of your arguments about that he didn't build the rapport with Trevor Lawrence and the being behind and yada yada. Like that, I agree with. What I don't agree with is this assumption that Travis Hunter is taking over as the wide receiver 1A to Thomas's 1B. I just think you're putting some.
Even if you go one like say they declared Brian basically have Thomas as 1A, right? You don't think Travis Hunter's talent's going to cut into Brian Thomas's receptions?
Cut into versus okay,
Right.
like he's getting his fair share of targets, but maybe it's accentuating the whole offense. Maybe it just makes the offense better as a whole. We don't
Listen,
even know.
he had 133 targets, 87 receptions, 1282, 10 touchdowns. He's not repeating that. He might get, listen, if his percentage is what 65% right there, or approximately 65, 68%, that's for receptions, right? From targets and receptions. If he catches that and he only gets 10, sorry, he only gets 100 targets this year because there's targets going everywhere else. That means he's only going to catch about 60 something balls.
Okay.
60 something balls, yeah, great yardage. His his yards per catch was fantastic, but a lot of those were just 80-yard touchdowns.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think this is probably a good point. You don't like now we're like we could squabble over which tiers, but you still have Brian Thomas as a wide receiver one, right?
Yeah, I still have him as a wide
Right.
receiver one, but the
Okay.
back end, maybe
Sure.
he should be going in the second round.
You also have Nico as a wide receiver one, which I do too, but I have him lower as well. I also have AJ Brown as a wide receiver one, but again lower. So I mean we could squabble about that. I do not have. So now we should get into this. I don't have Drake London as a wide receiver one, and I don't have Tyreek Hill as a wide receiver one. We'll start with Drake London. The sample size with Penix was very, very small. I do think Penix is going to make an improvement, but I think that offense is going to be completely revolving around Bijan Robinson. And to put all
So
of
the
the
sample size with Penix was very, very small. Penix
right,
played 3 games, week 16, 17, 18.
yeah, that's small.
Drink, all right, that's fine, but it was Penix and London, right? So
Right, it was
Drake
okay.
London had eight. He went 8 for 5 for 59. Then he
Mhm.
went 13 for 7. Then he went 18 for 10 and 2.
Right, he had the big two touchdown game. Right,
Okay.
I'm
So
not.
how is that I get it's a small sample size, but it's showing chemistry that, he's going to force the ball to Drake London, his best receiver.
We think that he is. I think it's going to be. Put it
They
this
didn't
way.
do anything else on that offense on the wide receiver play to bring in a big guy.
My logic here is, given the situation, are you okay in whatever capacity it would be, whatever you'd be drafting as, having Drake London as your number one wide receiver?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Listen,
just
if
don't
if
feel
I
as good
went,
about it.
listen, if you put it from this perspective, if I was drafting at 12, right? If I
Right.
was drafting at 12 and I'm looking to basically draft running back, wide receiver. I take Drake London, and most likely you can have a Christian. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey falls back that way, God, Godspeed, you just won. Um, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore. McCaffrey's stock value's jumping up drastically right now.
Let's speak in
Um,
reality.
yeah, but like if you can grab a Derrick Henry at that point, you have Derrick Henry, Drake London. Still, that's a fantastic start. You can you can bet you're making the playoffs just with that 1-2 punch right there.
Okay. Let's talk about Tyreek. So I think that last year was, I'm not saying it's prescriptive. It was such a bad year, but I don't I cannot see that much of an improvement over last year. I mean, what they were
Well,
doing
there
with two,
has to be
why does there have to be?
because it's the system. It's the system. They're that speed run and gun system.
Their system was in place when Tua came back. That was their system. The only thing that makes me feel better about Tyreek is A, that Jonnu left, and B, it's just like, okay, they're kind of resetting. They're going to be, they don't have the like they always start out pretty fast or whatever. So
Well, they're
maybe
going to
I'd
be
be looking
playing
at
from behind 90% of their games because they don't have a cornerback anymore.
well, among the other
Well,
reasons,
actually, sorry, they have Fitzpatrick, but
we also think they're going to be bad. But I also think, and let me be careful. I think Tyreek has lost just a little bit of a step. It didn't look as clean as it always does. It usually looks so clean and smooth and fast. It's just a little bit. On top of the fact that you're never going to be able to count on Tua to stay healthy. You can't count on Tua to throw it deep anymore. They're overprotecting it. It just seems like if you're, I don't want him as my wide receiver one on my team. Now I got it. Like we're gonna have a difference of opinion here. It just seems like too big of a risk. So let me make sure I got other names here. So you had these guys. Who else did I count all of them? Do you have anybody else in your top 12 that we didn't talk about?
so we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. No, that's my top 12 right there,
That's your
actually.
top 12. All right, let me throw some names at you that I have in my top 12 that are not on here. And some other names in my top 12. I have Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison, I've got up here. I'm seeing him. I've grown and grown on Arizona, so I've got him, and I've got Garrett Wilson in my top 12. Lower end, but I've got them there. I see Garrett Wilson as a very, very similar to Malik Neighbors from a functional standpoint, as just going to be a complete target machine on a team there's nobody else. They're not going to be that good of a team per se. Why wouldn't I think of him as last year's Malik Neighbors? Give me that argument
For Garrett Wilson,
for Garrett Wilson, right?
because you don't have a throwing quarterback.
Did you have a throwing quarterback last year?
Yeah, everybody threw the ball.
Tommy, whatever. He's a good thrower of the football.
He's not a great thrower of the football, but he threw the ball.
I want you to claim right now on for this all social media to see that you think Tommy Cutlets is a better thrower of the football than Justin Fields.
Hold on. You have to look at me in the camera and ask this question.
Do you think Tommy Cutlets is a better thrower of the football than Justin Fields?
No,
So then, what's your argument then?
because he didn't play the entire season. Drew Lock threw a lot of threw a lot of
Do
balls to
you
him.
think Drew Lock is a better thrower of the football than Justin Fields?
Yeah,
Ugh, ugh. Oh my gosh.
disgusting. It's disgusting, but yeah.
Ugh. I don't know if I have it in me to. Ugh.
Components of throwing the football, Drew Lock is better.
Oh man, I can't even. Oh, I knew we were gonna get into. I
All
knew we
right,
were gonna
everybody,
get
this show is over, and have a
there.
good night.
I knew we were gonna get into. I knew we were gonna get into these disagreements. Do you have? But Marvin Harrison, you could at least get behind, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I could get behind. I just don't think right now I could classify him as a
Yeah.
top 12. I think he's for me right now he's between 13 and 14.
All right. So
He's
then we have.
creeping in. I
He's
mean, he's creeping in. He could take the place of Brian Thomas for me.
up to that point. All right. So let's, for the sake of compromise, since we both have these three guys in our top 12. I'll get him in here. So um, let's just get him in, and then
So Lad McConkey, we're classifying him completely by himself.
I'll arrange the things. But like I just physically see. No, I have him in the same thing with Brian Thomas, so I could put them all in the same. That's fine.
Yeah,
And since
okay.
we and since
I
we
agree.
both Yeah, and since we both have them there, I feel like then that's right about right. Okay, so then what we don't have is, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you have Drake and Tyreek. I don't. I had I had Garrett Wilson and I had Marvin Harrison. So what we'll do is, and I had in the same tier, I had both of these guys below it, and believe it or not, I had them both below it with T. Higgins. So where did you have T. Higgins?
Well, he'd be in my tier four.
So he's in the next tier. So if we put all five of these guys in the next tier,
I think I think honestly, I could compromise with you and you could compromise with either one.
okay, how do we
Um,
want to do it then?
I would put Marvin Harrison in tier three with Drake London.
You just don't see it for out of Garrett Wilson.
No,
That's
tier three.
you want to put Marvin Harrison in tier three. Okay.
Yeah, tier three
Okay.
with Drake London. Then after
Not
that, I can agree that those remaining three guys could be in tier four at the start tier four. I mean, I understand the sample size is greater with Drake than it was with Marvin Harrison. And it was, Marvin
I know it.
Harrison he had a whole year, but I'm really buying the hype on what is going on right now, in that offense and how he's really taking it another step forward. So Drake and Marvin Harrison are really in the same element from my perspective.
Well,
You
I
know,
agree. I agree with that. Like, but I don't see like.
I see them. I mean, I can't see Brian Thomas in tier three, but I'll compromise if you're feeling that way about him.
Uh,
I would take Marvin Harrison over Brian Thomas.
but not over Nico.
Oh, no,
All
No.
right, so then I could do this, and then we could do yeah, we could put the other guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we could put the other guys. I just to get them in. It's just a weird just to get them on, like, because we end up in the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we end up in the same top 15-ish. It's just like kind of how we feel about it. I just one bone to pick with you that I have is um of all the things that we have disagreements on, I think the Brian Thomas thing is going to be our biggest point of contention, even going to the season, because we're going to be arguing the Travis Hunter business basically up until draft day. That's not going
That's
to get
fine.
it's not going to get us any clarity. At least I could see clarity coming out of like some of the other ones that we aren't so sure about. Like maybe if we see Fields and something with Garrett, I don't know. All right, let's leave
That's
that
fine.
there.
We're here to win championships, not to agree with every little bbit of thing. You just draft them. It's fine.
Right. All right, so for this in the however we got there in the next tier, I have basically I have three guys that I see as gigantic values and two guys that I see as uh like not so much. So I'll put the names. I have this high. I've got Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, and DK Metcalf in the same tier as F1 McLaurin and Devontae Adams. What do you
Yeah,
have?
no, I agree. Honestly, right now though, I might put based on the contract situation, I may put McLaurin in tier six. Um,
I was worried about that too. I really was.
so
I feel like we should assume they're gonna figure it out, kind of. You
yeah,
know,
I think they may, but on top of that, I have to put in you know, I can't pass on Devontae Adams being in this not being in this tier. So
I
yeah,
thought so too.
yeah. So we got Adams. Um, I mean, I can be okay with having McLaurin there because
Yeah,
he's at wide receiver two category now, which potentially he could finish
right.
wide receiver one numbers, depending on the situation. But I think this is a good wide receiver two range category for these players at the value that you'd be drafting them.
I want to talk about the value in more Metcalf and Sutton, but just a minute, just to bolster that point. I was alluding to it earlier in our conversation with McLaurin. So last year in 17 games, he didn't break 1,100 yards. Now, and he's turning 30. On top of that, we have this contract situation. He finishes as a wide receiver one last year on the back of 13 touchdowns. You never want to see that. You want to see way more yards, more receptions. I think he had like 80 receptions or something. Um, that's not good. On top of the contract thing, on top of the fact he's another year older, I'm not. My vibes are falling on him. I think this is right about where he would be, assuming he gets the contract. Because now maybe I'll feel a little bit better if he's in like, oh, it's a 1 year deal, prove it kind of thing. Because then like the hungry dog argument. But I'm with you. I'm just not feeling. I'm not feeling good about it. We've dropped on him. The both of us have.
So
I mean,
yeah, and there are two other players that I would technically put in
sure.
this.
Who? Because I purposely left some guys, so we might have some disagreements here. So who do you have?
Devonta Smith.
Hard disagree. Hard.
That's fine. That's fine.
Who else?
And Chris Godwin.
I see Chris Godwin as a value, but I don't see it here, man. I don't. Can I point out why? At this point, this is we have 20 names listed. If you have Godwin listed here, you have him as a wide receiver too, and he
I
isn't.
do. I do. I mean, he was before he got injured last year. He was wide receiver one until he got injured.
He was the wide receiver one, right?
Yes,
Right.
there's no reason for him not to come back and be that again.
There's a lot of reasons he's got to get up to that speed. They gotta,
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be. I mean, again, he might have about like a week or 2 weeks of slow play, but I would still put him in that category with these players with these names here.
I have to go back. This is actually where I I dropped off from doing rankings, so we could always come back and assess because I didn't get to Godwin, but I'll put him here te temporarily, like just as a reminder for us. But I'm with you. He's going to be a value, like because where he's going is nowhere near this stuff. Um, can I
Right now
point
he's going
out?
as wide receiver 31.
Yeah. So I mean, I would have him higher than that. I would. Can I point out some names to you that you and I probably agree with that from an ADP perspective, we're already past, and you and I aren't in love with. Top on that list is JSN. I don't think I wouldn't want any. I would take any of these guys over JSN. Any of these guys. That's how low we are on.
I would take Chris Godwin over JSN.
I would have to think about that. I don't know. Rashi Rice, I don't have. We have lower than consensus as another example. Um, I probably have different reasons than you. I am worried about the suspension, probably not as much as you are, but I still think that something different, like I think the coming off of the injury, he's going to be slow to start. On top of the fact, I just think Mahomes found something different with Worthy, and his shorter area targets are going to go to Kelsey. You know, but that's me. I know you're more worried about the suspension, but and also you think they're gonna be very, very similar to last year, right? The Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that'd be similar, but I think that this is, I think Kelsey will come back in and actually have a viable role in the offense, like he did 2 years ago.
Another name that we're a little lower on consensus on is Mike Evans. You're less bearish than I am. I'm of the opinion of this is the end of the empire. You think he's just going to kind of slow down. Like you said, you're all on Chris Godwin, but
Yeah, I mean, Chris Godwin, but then also Devonta Smith. Let's get back to Devonta Smith and tell me
sure.
why he can't be in tier five.
Because I you have been lecturing me all off season about there's no reason to think the Eagles are going to do anything different this year. Saquon is going to run over the entire league
Yeah,
again,
but
right?
I've adapted slightly the past couple weeks about them having to throw the ball more.
Okay. Well,
So I believe these 89 targets that he had last year, the 112 targets that he had the year before they had Saquon, the 136 targets that he had 2022, the 104 targets he had in 2021. I think he's going to hit at least 100 to 110 targets this year. He does catch at least 70% of his balls, and he can get up to close to 1,000 yards every single year just with that limited of receptions. So, I mean, he's literally the Deshaun Watson of this year, of this age. Not Deshaun Watson, sorry, Deshaun Jackson.
oh, I halfway almost missed that. Um, I don't know if I agree with that. Here's why. Look at the other names that we have on here that are quote unquote the second wide receiver on their team. Excuse me, Adams and Higgins, right? And what do they both have in common? They are on team. First of all, they're on good teams, but they're also on teams in which the quarterbacks are going to air it out. Uh, I just don't see enough volume for it to like think of all the things that you said about Devontae Smith. What was his last year like?
Uh,
It wasn't
he
particularly
finished as the wide
good.
receiver 30. He had
Right,
89 for it was like 68.
right, right. It wasn't the prettiest thing.
No, it wasn't the prettiest, but they got Saquon Barkley. They didn't need to throw the ball.
Right, and they
And
got
they made it. I mean, they did make a clear path that they. I mean, but he had 68 receptions for 833 yards, 8 touchdowns. So even
all
if,
that to end up as the wide receiver 30, right?
yeah, but we're talking about right now lower end guys that I believe that are going to have an uptick in going into this year. So if we believe that as well too, that AJ Brown is in the same tier as Nico and Lad McConkey, like
Oh,
why wouldn't Devonta Smith have an uptick on receptions? Like
well,
there's no way that Saquon Barkley is going to have the same volume it had last year.
well,
There's no way.
don't assign the things that you believe to the things that I believe. I didn't have AJ Brown that high. You did.
I know.
I have
I
him a
know,
little bit lower
I
than that.
know, I know, but it's because of the talk that we've been talking about when it comes
Right.
down to we do believe that they're going to have to throw the ball more. They're going to have to be a little bit more open with throwing the ball. Play action is going to come and play a lot more. Maybe they have to, the tush push is going to get banned sooner or later. So maybe
But not this year.
no, but not this year. But no, they have to adapt their gameplay. They can't just singularly work on the tush push. So they're going to have to utilize that play action a little bit more. I mean, say you have the best running back in football pretty much right back there right now.
Right. Basically, or arguably. And but the situation is like, I mean, this is the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Their defense got better and
Still
nothing
makes me
else
sick
and
to hear that.
nothing else changed on offense. I mean, and not to say that like the NFC East, okay, it's not like their defenses are going to be scaring them out of existence by the rest of the teams in the NFC East on
I
top
don't
of
know
their
about that.
schedule. Like,
You got to do a little bit more digging about those defenses that have been starting to get stacked. So
I don't want to hear about the Giants defense. I,
it's the secondaries that are not the greatest.
eh, they're just gonna.
The front eights are getting a lot better. The secondaries are getting not as good. So I really
I
believe.
hear what you're saying. We'll probably revisit this in the next episode, but like I hear what you're saying. It's just put it this way. We've got 20 names on here. Okay? So like for example, if we had like Godwin and Smith and some other name like other names as a like in the low end wide receiver 2 range, like I wouldn't feel so good having Devontae Smith as my wide receiver 2 as a starting, not really, not questioned, but whatever, starting, lock him in type of wide receiver 2, especially given how the offense was last year. He was a wide receiver 30. Eh. And the wide receivers, it's not like the offense we think maybe might throw it a bit more, but it's going to be very similar,
Let me ask you:
right?
Would you take Devonta Smith over Mike Evans?
Yes,
So you take Devonta Smith over Mike Evans?
right. But I'm very low on Mike Evans, right?
Okay, same here. Would you take Devonta Smith over Rashee Rice?
Who we brought up? PPR, full PPR, non PPR, or
We're
half
talking about
PPR?
half PPR right now.
Half PPR, I think I would take Rashi Rice.
Would you take Devonta Smith over JSN?
Think I might take JSN.
You might take JSN,
Might. Yeah.
and he's not even ranked, even probably not even be ranked in our seven.
We will see how low we get. Yeah. I mean,
How
but
low
our
can we
issue,
go?
by the way, we should give 2 seconds of lip service to that. I mean, we'll rank him in the next episode, but he's the highest on ADP that we don't have ranked yet. And our reasoning is, but you and I know you and I are in lockstep here. Let's start with the obvious. We don't believe in Darnold. Okay. So Darnold had an amazing year last year with in a perfect system with a perfect head coach to help him. We think it's going to completely fail. Now I made a bet with Tommy on Seattle, which I imagine he's starting to regret. Like it because they're over under on FanDuel is 7.5, but our bet is eight. Our bet is 8.5. I took Tommy thinks they're gonna get over 8.5. That having been said, he
Gonna happen.
does that did happen. That having been said, I mean we both recognize that
No, I said it's going to happen.
it's going to happen. Like it's if it does happen, it's going to be on the back of some just weird shenanigans. By the way, in such a tough division, there's no way it's happening. That was the best bet I ever made with
It's
him.
happening.
Oh, anyway, we just don't feel good about the situation. Last year was kind of a perfect storm for him. DK Metcalf was in and out doing whatever he was doing. Every target from Geno basically went to JSN. It was just kind of a perfect storm situation. So we just don't feel that good about it. Do you think? And I know you don't think Cooper Cup, and you think Cooper Cup just steals targets from him, right? Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cooper Cup still has it. So I don't think that I think that's a great value play, and I think he's going to be the favorite target for Darnold.
Maybe well, I'm sure we'll get to that next time. Any other names? Any other names? We'll talk about Godwin on the next show. But any other names that you think might come up as that maybe we should have had up in here?
Yeah,
And
Devonta Smith
this
and
is top.
Chris
This is
Godwin.
top 20. This is top 20.
Yeah, Devonta Smith and Chris Godwin.
I mean, we'll get to them. Uh, any names on here that you'd be worried about taking? Again, I told you I'm scared about Tyreek. Um, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brian Thomas. But another one, obviously, and then another one is basically Terry McLaurin. As of right now,
Right.
his ADP has fallen 2 rounds as of right now because the controversy with basically his whatchamacallit contract. But the other one outside of that, I mean, based on value, let's just put it this way: if I was drafting the seventh overall pick, and Puka and Derrick Henry was sitting there, I'd still take Derrick Henry in a half point PPR.
At what position?
Seventh, seventh or eighth or
I,
ninth, whatever. And
I
both and both those guys are staring me in the face. I would take Derrick Henry over Puka.
that's fine. I mean, depends on how you like to build your team. If you want a running back thing,
If
like
it's
yeah,
full
that's
point
fine.
PPR, I would still do it that way.
Oh my gosh. It, I can't. I don't know you. Oh my God. By the way, we didn't really mention. We kind of glossed over it, but Tommy and I both agree that DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, and Cortland Sutton are huge values the way that we see them. And we kind of glossed over that. Just 2 seconds. So DJ Moore, again, we don't think that ADP has caught up to really our optimism about the situation. Obviously, Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, the Bears, etc. Their O line, like things should improve, and he's the number one target. With also Keenan Allen leaving, people don't realize how many targets Keenan Allen had last year. It was just like it was crazy. So we're feeling good about DJ Moore. DK Metcalf, listen, despite what you may think about him, he's going on to a team with Aaron Rodgers going to throw the ball. He's by far the number one target. Pickens is out. There's going to be value there. There's just if you just could get past maybe annoyance at the name and the whole Rodgers situation in Pittsburgh. And Cortland Sutton, I mean, you and me, Tommy, like, what more do we need to say? I mean, Cortland Sutton was so dominant last year. It was so good. It's going to be more of we think it's going to be more of the same. Just the next year with Bo Nix, presumably better. Sean Payton's offense, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
not,
he's not a week in, week out 20 point wide receiver, but he's going to give you your high teens, middle of the pack teens numbers, and that's what you need as a wide receiver too. And he's going to carry, that's even better than a wide receiver two number that you would actually,
sure,
hope. Last year, obviously, you were able to get him at a really, really good value. This year, you're gonna pay slightly a little bit more for it, but I think based on where he's being drafted, it's depending on your strategy, he's definitely not a wide receiver one. If you're going running back strategy, but he'll be a decent wide receiver one if that's the case. But he's going to be tremendous value. I think this is a great position for him in tier five for us.
yep, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what other guys we get to next week as we fill this thing out, and then like we said, we'll be revisiting this as well as all the other positions as we move on in the off season. But I'm glad everybody gets to see our fun little disagreements and such.
Yep,
Um,
Devonta Smith and Chris
yep,
Godwin should be in tier five.
we'll get to that next week. Parting thoughts, Mr. Lang?
Yeah, if you guys can share, subscribe, react, comment, whatever you want to do with us, we're here. We're here to entertain and interact with all of y'all. So we appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch the video. And yeah, see y'all next week for week 2 of wide receivers.
See you, everybody.